Hi guys, it's Tablet-News.com and I'm here with a tablet called the Allview Viva i8. It's a tablet that adopts the format of the iPad mini, as you can see, and it's the first Allview model that adopts an Intel processor. By the way, this is actually a rebranded slate. In China it's known as the Teclast P89 mini. This product was launched in November and it's priced at $275, at least in Eastern Europe. On Amazon you can even find it at about $215 or so, so it's reasonably cheap, this tablet. Why are we interested in this model? Well, it has a powerful Intel processor inside, and on Black Friday it had a really appealing price of around $200. And the design, you'll be surprised to know that it's actually thinner than the iPad mini. This tablet measures 7.25 millimeters, while the iPad mini measures 7.5 millimeters. This product weighs 312.5 grams, which is lighter than the iPad mini that weighs 331 grams, or at least the new Retina iPad mini weighs that much. This is the thinnest and the lightest tablet that Allview has been offering in Eastern Europe. The case is aluminum. Is made of aluminum. It has a nice grip for the user's hand. At the top we find the audio jack, the micro USB port right here, while at the bottom we find a microphone hole right here. At the back we find these two speakers, stereo speakers, and of course a camera here without a flash. Now on this right side we find the buttons, on-off button and volume buttons with a good response to the user's touch. And at the front we find obviously the display and the front camera. The design is very slim, very modern, so kudos for that for Allview and Teclast. And as you can see, we also have the micro SD card slot on the same side as the buttons. As I said, we like the design. It's a big improvement compared to the previous Allview tablets that we've tested, and believe me, there have been a lot of Allview tablets tested by us. Moving further to the hardware, what we get here is IPS LCD screen with a 7.9-inch diagonal, a 4:3 format, and a resolution of 1024/768 pixels. The CPU that I've been bragging about so much, the one that's inside this device, well, this one is an Intel Z2580 dual-core 2 GHz processor. It's an Intel Atom Clover Trail Plus 32nm chip, and it comes with Intel hyper-threading. The GPU here is a PowerVR SGX 544MP2 at 533 MHz. This one allows you to do some 3D gaming if you want, and it decodes video in 30 frames per second. Other features available on this device include 16 GB of storage, 1 GB of DDR2 RAM, micro SD card slot with support for up to 32 GB, G-sensor, Bluetooth 3.0, and a GPS with a special SIRF receiver for extra sensitivity and lower consumption. You should probably also know that this device comes with Wi-Fi and Wi-Fi display technology, micro USB 2.0, and stereo speakers as mentioned before. Now moving forward with the specs list, we got a 5 megapixel camera right here at the back with autofocus, and at the front a 2 megapixel camera for video calls and such, and the battery inside this unit is a 4600 mAh unit with a capacity of as I said, 4600 mAh. It's a 3.7 volt battery and it uses lithium polymer technology. We also took some screenshots regarding the battery life of the slate. You can see here various steps taken to test the battery. First we reached from 100% to 71%, 50%, and we kept going till we exhausted the entire battery. The idea is that on paper this device is able to provide 460 hours of standby or 8 hours of functioning time, and our test involved HD playback continuously with Wi-Fi on and 50% brightness. We achieved 8 hours just like Allview promised for this device, which is very okay. By the way, this tablet takes 3 hours to charge from 0 to 100%, which is pretty decent considering we get 8 hours of video playback, and we actually really like that. Now moving forward to the multimedia aspect that involves some audio playback, so let's listen to some tunes here. Let's try this one and turn up the volume. speakers right here. Now if you listen closely, you may have heard the hissing sound that the speakers sometimes make. Even when closing an app, you'll hear a slight hissing. Other than that, we got stereo speakers that are loud, and if you dismiss the hissing sound, you get good volume, decent clarity when you turn the volume down, okay voice, okay bass, and okay high notes. Once again, if you weren't for the hissing, this would be actually an excellent acoustic experience. Okay, speaking of experiences, it's time to test the video experience on this device, and let's see how we can do that with a bunch of samples that we have right here for you. It's a colorful sample here, and it's meant to test the clarity of the colors on this screen. Now some details about the screen. First of all, this is an IPS LCD 7.9-inch screen, resolution 1024 over 768. It's got a 4:3 format. We've got good viewing angles, typical for an IPS, both vertically and horizontally. The colors are vivid, there's no oversaturation, and the brightness is 315 lux units, which is very okay. We also get RGB striped pixels, and to prove this data, we also have some shots for you. Here we go. We use the microscope, and this is what the screen looks like on black and on white. As I said, RGB striped pixels, 315 lux units. You can see it right here with our lux meter tester, and this is the temperature, but more about that later. And one last mention about the screen: the display is good and we get decent contrast out of it, so I have to say I'm pretty happy with the display on this tablet. Now, continuing the multimedia analysis, we're going to go to the camera that, frankly speaking, could have had a bit more options than it has right now. Let's place this case right here. Luckily, we have the autofocus thing going on, although it's not exactly as precise as I would have liked it to be. And the focusing is also not as fast as I wanted. The settings are limited to the picture size and storing location, and these are the photo options. You can also take some video with automatic zooming in, and you can take a panorama. And as I said, I wasn't very impressed by this camera. It's a 5 megapixel camera, in case you want to know the identity. It's got a sensor that's an OV5645. It does Full HD video, it does panorama, it takes noisy pics, and the autofocus is not as fast as one would want it. These are the pictures taken earlier. This one has noise and it's blurry, and this one is better focused. You can see that the level of detail is actually decent. Overall, I'm disappointed by the lack of options, but this camera is just there to fill in the specs. If you want a comparison, this is below the camera of the iPad mini and below the camera of the Asus MemoPad HD 7. You probably saw earlier the temperature test. This is it with the thermometer after playing some games, and we reached 34.2 degrees Celsius, which is okay for this aluminum slate that tends to stay cold no matter what. Now on the OS side of things, we're running Android 4.2.2 Jelly Bean, and we've got a pretty fast browser. I was surprised by it. This is our sister site, never mind that. Now let's access Tablet-News.com. Here we go. Reasonably fast browser, surprisingly fast. Doing some scrolling. The scrolling is also pretty fast here. Some pinch to zoom here. By the way, this is the unboxing video. The text is also pretty crisp, even if you don't zoom in. You can read easily the text of the article. So yet another bonus point for the screen and for the browser. One more thing to mention, and you notice throughout our review, even if you have a live wallpaper, even if you're running a game in the background and installing stuff, there will be no lag on this model whatsoever. So this tablet doesn't suffer from lag, not once. And now we move forward with the performance analysis of the device that is done as usual through some benchmarks. Got a series of screenshots prepared for you aside from those with the battery. Okay, so as usual we do a comparison of this device with others. This is the Allview Viva i8. We compare it to the Iboda Revo Air 85, another tablet from Romania, the local market of this tablet, and the Asus MemoPad HD7. Why these models? Well, basically they've got pretty close diagonals. This one has a 7.9-inch screen, the Iboda has a 7.85 or so inch screen, and the Asus MemoPad HD7 has a 7-inch screen. This is Intel dual core and those other two are quad cores, so it's an interesting battle of variety. Okay, so this device gets 7,417 points in quadrant. It beats the Iboda device by about 2,000 points and the Asus device by about 4,000 points. Next up, pretty impressive score here, 21,000 points in Antutu, actually 21,800 points. We beat the Iboda by about 2,000 points and we almost doubled the score of the Asus MemoPad HD7. Now in Nanomark, pretty good score, 60 frames per second, good GPU here, and we beat the 59 frames per second of the Iboda Revo, and we also beat the Asus MemoPad HD7 with its 46 frames per second. In Velamo, this is the only test where we lost. In HTML5 we scored 76 points, got beaten by the Iboda by about 70 points, and we managed to beat the Asus MemoPad HD7 by about 700 points. The most relevant test of all, this one, 3D Mark. This one actually shows you that you can buy this device and be happy with it. 8,400 points, double the amount of the Iboda and the Asus models mentioned below, which pretty much speaks for itself. I was telling you earlier that the browser is good. This is confirmation. 2,504 points in Browser Mark 2.0. Certainly beats the other two models. Once again, Intel dual core versus Rockchip quad core on the Iboda and MediaTek quad core on the Asus model. And by the way, this tablet actually also costs less than these two other models, but we're not here to talk about prices. What's important here is that you can also feel this power in the day-to-day functioning, and we also installed some games. I've been playing with Revolt 2 and Neon Shadow, which is a first-person shooter for days now, and not one trace of lag, so I'm happy with this device. We've got stock Android here, as you can see, no trace of customization unless you count these volume buttons that have been placed on the screen, and the screenshot button also placed on the screen. Other than that, well, I have to say that I regret the fact that this tablet does not have an HDMI port. Could have been useful. And now let's have a look at the list of apps that have been pre-installed on this device. Okay, so let's see. We got an interesting feature here. It's called All Click. Basically, it's a collection of shortcuts. Now I stopped it and now I triggered it. And the idea is that you see in the center of the screen there is sort of a bullseye mechanism here. So let's access a browser so you can see it better. This is the bullseye mechanism. If you press it, you're going to see a bunch of shortcuts here, and you can press that plus, add more apps. This is a quick access method for all the apps and features on your device. Of course, you can deactivate it by entering this notification area here and simply stopping it. So that's one of the first apps pre-installed here, All Click. We got Bitdefender Mobile Security with a malware scanner, privacy advisor, web security, an anti-theft method. Other stuff that's pre-installed here, it's a PDF viewer, calculator and calendar, obviously Android apps. Clock, downloads, file explorer that we installed, gallery, Gmail, and we also got maps. This is a device that has a GPS after all, and I have to say that GPS is pretty precise, just like Allview promised, and not one trace of lag, so pretty good device. Okay, moving further from the maps and all that, we got Gmail, obviously, we got the music player, we got Office Suite for your productivity needs, Office Suite 7, with your doc support, XLS, PowerPoint, and all that. Okay, and this is how you view a document on this device. This is a docx file that you can also print, find, full screen, and all those features. Okay, and finally we get something that's more of a local feature. It's a See Now service. Well, See Now is a service that offers you movies, TV shows, and a variety of other things available here From what I know, it gives you 1 free month of viewing videos, TV shows and movies. Okay, time for the verdict. As you can see, we like this tablet very much because of its slim design, the fact that it has no lag whatsoever, it handles multimedia pretty well, and now it's time for the pros, the cons and the verdict. On the pro side, we got a solid design, a good battery that offers us 8 hours of functioning time in HD video playback. The display is good, it's also pretty bright. I was keeping the brightness up during the entire review. You can see it here. Maximum brightness, pretty impressive, 315 lux units, which is pretty okay for this device. And there's no lag, yet another plus here. The benchmarks are very good and the games look nice on this device, even a first-person shooter with Doom inspiration. The browser is fast, you saw that earlier. And what else we got here? We got a pretty good GPS to add. And now we move further to the cons side. Well, on the cons side, we got no HDMI, there aren't many camera options, the speakers are hissing, there are no headphones, but I guess I'm going to have to be a little bit of a Grinch if you want to complain about headphones. Okay, now let's give it some grades. Be careful because the grades are actually going to be very good. We give it a 9 out of 10 for design. It's slim, it's light, so why not give it a 9 out of 10. For the hardware, 9.3 out of 10, good CPU, good display, good battery. And for the operating system and user interface, 9.5, it would have been a 10 if we had more interesting apps and maybe more camera options. The final grade is 9.26 out of 10, it's a very good tablet, and on Amazon you can find it for just a bit over $200, which is an excellent price. This is the best tablet from Allview so far. It would be a pity not to get it, especially at such a low price and with such a good Intel dual-core CPU. This is Tablet-News.com, hope you like this review. We'll be back with many more tablets soon, and this is the Allview Viva i8, also known as the Teclast P89 Mini. Bye bye!